The two most important things when it comes to picking a school to go to for college when you want to become a doctor is that the college is in a big city or at least somewhat close to a big city, that it's near a hospital, and that there's an emphasis on research at the college. And this doesn't necessarily have to mean that it's a tier 1 research institution, but it should at least have some research related scholarships and some interesting papers and labs from the college. I would highly recommend that you look at some of the labs and see if there's at least a couple that you'd be interested in working in. That's also a good indicator that there's enough emphasis on research at the college to make this category a big plus for the school. Now, why is it so important that the college is in a big city? Well, it's really important because you're going to want to get clinical experience as a pre-med, and that means working as an EMT, working as a CNA, or maybe even working as a phlebotomist. And if you're in a small rural town, there's not going to be a lot of jobs because there's not a lot of people that need healthcare. Whereas if you're in a city, there are so many people around that there's going to be big hospitals with high levels of specialization. So you might even be able to shadow someone in a very specific field that you want to work in. In rural areas, there won't be this level of specialization and there won't be as many jobs. In fact, there'll be a lot of government agencies and you may even have to work as an EMT for the government. This is not really ideal because it's harder to work with the government as opposed to smaller, more privately owned businesses, but it's doable. You can go to a school in a more rural area if they have lots of research opportunities and there's at least a hospital nearby. It's possible for there to be a hospital nearby in a rural area. For example, University of Oregon is right by Peace Health, which is a hospital, and University of Oregon is also in Eugene, which is not a big city. A lot of people will look at prestige of the undergraduate college and also acceptance rates into medical school from that college. And this is a terrible way to pick a college because prestige actually makes a college a worse choice when you're a pre-med. Let me explain why this is the case. If a college is very prestigious and has a low acceptance rate, that means that only very competitive and highly motivated students will be attending the college. For there to be a normal distribution of grades in the classes when all the students are extremely smart, the academics have to be significantly more rigorous. On the contrary, if you go to a less prestigious college with a lot of students from different backgrounds and different levels of motivation, there's going to be much less difficult classes, or if the classes are the same difficulty, there's going to be a bigger curve. And I can say this is definitively the case because I'm attending the University of Oregon right now, and the fact that there's been such less rigorous academics compared to a more prestigious school like Stanford or UCLA or some of the other UCs, that has allowed me to spend a lot more time in the research laboratory that I work in and also doing other extracurricular things like working as an EMT, which would be extremely stressful and would cost me probably my health, my sleep, and all sorts of other things. That is just unnecessary because medical schools don't really look at the prestige of your undergrad institution as much as people think. It's far more important that you maintain a high GPA, like 3.8 or higher, and attend a school like University of Oregon than to attend a school like Stanford and get a 3.6 or 3.5. One of my close friends actually attended Stanford University and graduated with a 3.6 GPA and a near perfect MCAT score and was still rejected from all of the medical schools he applied to. I will note that he did not actually do very much clinical experience, so he didn't work as an EMT or anything like that, which is probably a bigger contributor to why he didn't get in, but he also had a 3.6 GPA. And these two things have a lot to do with each other. First of all, at Stanford, the academics are difficult, so there's less time to do stuff like work as an EMT. And second of all, they're more difficult, so it's harder to get a high GPA. These two things make a big difference when it comes to succeeding as a pre-med because you don't want rigorous academics and you do want to have time to work in these extracurricular areas. That's why I emphasize so much that you have to put your ego aside when you're pre-med and maybe go to a less prestigious school that has lots of research opportunities like University of Oregon. Even though it's not in a big city, it is actually a great school for pre-meds because it is a tier 1 research institution. It has lots of research scholarships. I actually received the Knight Undergraduate Scholarship, and this pays me a stipend of about $8,000 per year. And I also get a bunch more attention in my research lab. People are trying to approach me to work on projects. I'm able to get more publications. I'm able to get money, which is great. You know, you have to go into so much debt as a pre-med between undergrad and graduate school that you want to get as many scholarships as you can. The last thing I'll note here is the cost of this college that you decide to go to. It's really important to consider how much cost is involved in becoming a doctor between your undergraduate college and your medical school. Medical school costs about $50,000 a year on average. You can look at different schools, there's different costs, there's different scholarships involved. But you want to consider that. And you want to possibly consider going to a school that's in-state so you can get that in-state tuition. It's also definitely good to consider those in-state schools because the in-state schools may still have all those other great things I talked about, like research opportunities and being near a hospital / in a big city. If you want to learn more about my journey as I become a doctor, you can subscribe to this channel because I'm a student going through the process right now. And a lot of other people that are already doctors can tell you what it was like when they went through this process. But that was a long time ago and things have changed. I will tell you how it is now and the challenges that you might go through as a pre-med right now.